Yeah, welcome to another episode of the M365 Show podcast, where we explore the technologies, strategies, and people shaping the future of the Microsoft 365, Azure Security, and and modern workplaces. Today, I'm joined by Murtaza Fazel Hoosen, Microsoft MVP, CISO at Forterra,
Yep.
.com, technology evangelist and international speaker. Murtaza also spent years helping organizations build secure, scalable cloud environments while navigating the rapidly changed landscape of AI-powered cybersecurity. As Microsoft Copilot, uh, AI agent, and intelligent automation become a part of everyday business, security teams face an entry new challenge. How do you embrace AI without introducing new risk? How do zero trust evolve in the age of AI? And what role do Microsoft 365, Azure, and Microsoft Security play in protecting the modern enterprise? Today, we will explore AI governance, co-pilot security, zero trust architecture, identity protection, cloud security, and whatever IT leaders should know before deploying AI across their organization. Mustafa, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Mirco, for inviting me. That's really nice of you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, can you, before we deep dive, can you tell us a little bit about you and your journey into cybersecurity?
Yeah, yeah, sure. So, Mirco, basically, I'm an Indian. I'm Indian origin. However, born and brought up in Madagascar. And in 1997, I got my first computer that was gifted by my father. It was a 286 or 386 kind of a system, MS-DOS 286, 386. And where I learned to do coding. And my first, I would say, uh, uh, programming language is COBOL and Turbo Pascal,
Yeah.
and in those days, I had some I was debugging the machine while doing programming. Debugger, there was few debugger, and then what we used to do is we used to debug the machine. I would say machine code, machine. What it is called? I think so. The machine code itself. I think so. I'm not recollecting the exact name, and wherein you need to find the sequence of binary digits 0 and 1 and so forth, and then debug it accordingly. And from those days, cyber security, or even the, I would say, the biggest subset of the IT security, I had kind of a initial, I would say, interest. And later on, when I came to India, I went into more into I started my journey with more kind of a Microsoft technology with ASP.NET and digitization related topic. However, since almost uh, 3 to 5 years, I I deviated my my role and my interest to IT security and so forth.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
This is a real interesting journey. And can you us a little bit tell why you chose Microsoft Security as primary focus?
Yeah, sure. So, since the beginning, I'm I'm uh, I'm oriented towards kind of a Microsoft technology. For example, I am holding an MCSC certification, which is which comprise of seven papers that point of time,
Hmm.
and wherein I think so I had also, if you remember the forefather of uh, the domain controller, which was Microsoft NT, I think so the name, the full form I'm not recollect, and it started with NT, Windows NT, which was a major release of Windows NT operating system developed by Microsoft again those point of time, and that was in 1996, if I'm recollecting. And since then, uh, since then I was in love with all technology related to Microsoft. It As I said, started with Windows NT, MS-DOS 286, 386 that point of time. And then when I came to India, I did my MCSC paper, and then I got a job in Symantec. Symantec was at that point of time, I think so in 2008, one of the, it was the fifth largest software company.
Mhm.
And wherein I got lots of opportunity to learn and play around IT security related topic.
Mm.
And then furthermore, I got a chance, I got an opportunity to move towards web technology.
Mhm.
It was in, I think so, ASP.NET, and later on SharePoint, and later on, Power Platform technology. And then back forth, I moved towards again cybersecurity
Mm.
along with IT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
you, yeah.
yeah, sorry. And then nowadays, the entire suite of Microsoft security, starting from Microsoft Purview, Defender, Sentinel, and so forth. And of course, the Copilot, all the Copilot, for security, and the other Copilot, those are nowadays the playground of my current playground currently.
And yeah, you have worked around nearly the world, Europe, Africa, Asia. Have this influenced your security mindset?
Sorry, can you come again, Mirko?
Y- Yeah, yeah. I think you have nearly working around the world in Europe, Africa, Asia. Influence that your security mindset?
Correct. I mean, seeing the technology evolve, security is one of the most important kind of an aspect of securing data of an user, of an organization, of even our own self, and while working with multiple technology, even within the Microsoft ecosystem, it's really important that one uh, must be able to secure, the our organizational data, or our kind of an ecosystem, and so forth. Oh,
Yeah, really interesting. Let's a little bit look at the current security landscape. If you had to
okay.
describe today's threat landscape in one sentence, what will it be?
You mean from AI perspective, or
Eh,
from general perspective?
from your perspective, how is actually, and yeah, I think AI has a big impact actually.
Okay, okay. So currently, from general perspective, is the I would say threat security landscape is the complete picture of cyber threats, attackers, vulnerabilities, technology, and risk, that an organization or an individual is facing at a given point of time. As the technology is constantly evolving, attackers are also getting smarter. Even with uh, our the current era of AI, attackers are becoming smarter and smarter, and they are also coming up and adopting new technique. So accordingly, organization also needs to introduce and new technologies, such as uh, cloud computing, AI, and IoT, and kind of those. Uh, yeah. So uh, threat actors could be cyber criminals, activists, insider threats, or even our competitors, and we really need to be alert on how the attackers are misusing or getting into our systems.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Interesting. And yeah, I think, what did you think? I see a lot of companies buying more security products, but do they actively become more secure, or is it more, I don't know, yeah, and something what companies think wrong, they buying tools and they do it for them.
Mm-hmm. Uh, but I would say it's about adoption, and how uh, uh, how they are. Uh, uh, Hello,
Yeah.
you are. Yeah, yeah. I thought it is. Uh, uh, that's a very common challenge, Mirko, nowadays. Many organizations are buying security faster than they are really adopting them. For example, they would have a heavy budget on, like, buying or software related to cybersecurity, but
Mm,
many people struggle with adoption and integration and even
mm,
operationalization. Means,
mm,
like, uh, that maybe because of maybe some internal training, or maybe the management is not pushing enough,
mm,
then the security capabilities often remain underutilized,
mm,
leaving gaps, and then towards this significant investment. For example, uh, organization may have, like, 50 or 100 security products from different vendors.
mm,
Everyone, each one of them may have, like, its own console policy and workflows. And of course, on top of it, like, there is sorry, on the other side, there could be a poor integration wherein products don't share context or telemetry, resulting in, like, very fragmented visibility.
mm,
And that becomes very difficult to manage and maintain in a long term. And of
mm,
course, on top of it, like, it's also a lack of governance, wherein it has to be pushed from the top management. And that results on, like, just focusing, their organization is focusing on purchasing technology rather than defining process or ownership or metrics.
mm,
And one more aspect which I have seen, like, there could be also user resistance.
mm,
Uh, yeah, wherein, like, employees may bypass control if they perceive them as, like, slowing down productivity, contributing to shadow IT, or shadow AI.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what we hear a lot is, especially in cybersecurity, it's insider threats. So what are more important, actually, insider threats by company users use AI, or is it the attackers they use AI?
You mean either uh, whether it is which one is the more important threats coming from
Yeah,
insider AI usage or an attacker AI, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I would say, from experience perspective, I would say both are important.
Mm,
But bigger IT, one of the bigger risk most for most organization is insider AI usage.
mm,
In case if they lack, like, governance and so forth. For example, it can happen every day.
mm,
Sometimes unintentionally, employees, like, may paste confidential data into public AI tool, just like, maybe some confidential data into chat GPT, like, and then that could be a kind of a very high risk for the organization. Or maybe kind of another example would be identity compromise, wherein, like, an attacker to access AI, cloud resource or sensitive data. And yeah, so that's my perspective from an attacker, AI attacker. uh, like, with the introduction of an AI, nobody is doing any grammatical mistake. That's the beauty of AI nowadays. Like,
mm,
every mail is a perfect now. If you remember earlier, like, many attackers or were doing kind of people were trying to find, like, whether there is a kind of a grammatical mistake wherein we can, like, figure out whether this is a kind of uh, I would say phishing email and so forth. However, nowadays, like, the AI generated phishing mail are uh, drafted with excellent grammar,
mm,
and they do, like, personalize phishing using public information. They may, like, go to your LinkedIn account. They may do a research, like, in from the organization perspective, like, who all are working in for those company.
mm,
Just one real example, like, which happened few years ago in USA, wherein, like, an attacker were trying to penetrate one organization kind of a network, like, but they were not successful because those organization had, like, hardening their system really well, and they could not hack their system. So what did they do? They started with social engineering. So
Mhm,
as I said, like, they started, like, checking the employee profile. They started doing an analysis on their employees' behaviors,
mhm,
and they found out that, like, those many of their employees were liking uh, Chinese restaurant, which was like, near to their office. Okay. So what they do is, like, and they found out, like that those employees were checking their menu very often, because again, like, they were ordering those food from the Chinese restaurant. And what did they do is, like, they embedded a malicious kind of a code within the PDF of the Chinese menu, and
mhm.
that's how they could enter the organizational system, like, the organization system.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So, but the attackers are also, like, playing really smart, and that's how, like, one needs to be really even extremely careful.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think another funny, this is a really funny story with the Chinese restaurant. I think on this other guy, they had put, uh, I think USB sticks with, I think, Bitcoin, thing on it, and also get hacked the company. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, um, yeah. Now we have, I think, a newly or yeah, new product, Microsoft Security Copilot. So now I can say, "Hello, Copilot, please make my environment secure," or how
Mhm.
do it work?
Mhm. I think so, Mirco. Microsoft Security Copilot is not enough. The answer is a big no. Microsoft Security Copilot is a powerful tool. However, it remains a security assistant, but it's not a complete, I would say, security solution.
Mm,
It helps you to augment your security team. However, it does not, like, replace a security architecture at the end of the day. So, and then mainly security copilot is used by your SOC team, means security operation center. It helps, like, directly the SOC team to detect, investigate, and respond faster. However, we cannot always. It will be wrong to say that, like, security copilot will replace the entire. I would say security architecture.
mm.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
for the most people, I think there are for listeners here on my podcast, they are confirmed as Microsoft 365 Copilot. How is the difference to the Microsoft Security Copilot when people start it?
Sorry, I didn't get. Can you repeat, Mirko, please?
Yeah, no problem. I think, especially my listeners, the most one have used Microsoft 365 Copilot, and it's, yeah, you can prompt and do wonderful things. How different is the Microsoft Security Copilot from the Microsoft 365 Copilot?
Okay, okay. Yeah. So, for example, when it comes to primary user, Microsoft Security Copilot is mainly used by security analysts, SOC, and the IT security team. On the other hand, like, Microsoft 365 Copilot is used. It can be used by all employees. It could be by from the HR department, finance team, marketing, executive, and so forth. The goal for related to Microsoft Security Copilot is to protect the organization. On the other hand, they, like, for Microsoft 365 Copilot is, like, the goal is to improve productivity.
Mm,
And now, from the data source perspective, like, Microsoft the Security Copilot gets the data from Defender, Sentinel, Entra, Intune, Threat Intelligence. All these are, like, security, Microsoft security related product or tool.
mm,
Okay. On the other hand, like, it underlies under Microsoft Graph, wherein, like, it gets data from Outlook, Teams, Word. all the, again, office related tools from Microsoft. And but you are right, the naming convention is the naming is really confusing. And nowadays there are so many copilot outside there that we really get confused. I believe there are, I think so, even for within Microsoft ecosystem itself, there will be 50 minimum copilot, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's a lot, GitHub and so on. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Copilot for sales, dynamics, and so
uh,
forth. Yeah.
yeah. But which real problems does the Microsoft Security Copilot solve today, and where are the limits?
Uh, yeah. I would say, of course, uh, let me just think.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah. Uh, it helps primarily security analysts, the SOC team and all. Uh, uh, One of the interesting part is, when we deal with Sentinel, and we get, SOC team gets too many alerts,
mm,
and that leads to fatigue, human fatigue, because at some point of time human can work up to. So it helps, and of course analysts cannot investigate everything manually. So
mm,
security copilots primarily, I would say, helps by prioritizing alert, doing an analysis by correlating related events, and explain, provide an explanation why an alert matters.
mm, mm,
For example, if you would have not copilot security, then without AI, maybe, we may have, multiple console search log, check IP reputation, of course, and then it may take longer and longer time to really identify a true positive kind of an alert or incident. So from those perspective, uh, Copilot is quite faster. Microsoft Security Copilot. On the other hand, I would say second point, uh, it helps. As you know, cybersecurity has a shortage worldwide.
mm,
Nowadays, finding a really good security engineer is not easy
mm,
anywhere. So, for
mm,
example, maybe kind of a junior analyst may, struggle with malware analysis, threat hunting, KQL kind of scripting and all.
mm,
So, from that perspective, Copilot can acts like an experienced assistant, which
mm,
could help that, investigate that incident more effectively.
mm,
And in an organization, typically, there are so many tools. There could be some kind of email security tool, identity, SIEM, threat intelligence, endpoint, and gathering all these data into a centralized kind of a system uh, is one of the most the beauty of Copilot security, which bring the context together.
mhm,
Because if a human will start analysis, doing an analysis from different log from different system, you can imagine. I think so we all had done that in the past, and as you remember, we spent hours and hours when the root cause is not yet found. However, from Copilot, it brings context together, specifically in the Microsoft security ecosystem. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, awesome. Um, yeah, I think a little bit. Um, will you say we can prioritize
Prioritize, yeah.
faster? How much faster can incident response become with Microsoft Copilot from your perspective, or uh, what have you seen?
You mean, the most faster incident we can resolve?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, uh, I would say, let's take an example. Maybe we get an alert one from an use suspicious login. Maybe an alert two, like PowerShell execution alert three from a malware detected and so forth. From a security copilot, how faster would be understanding an alert? It will be, I would say, less than 5 minutes as compared to a traditional SOC, which takes uh 10 to 20 minutes to do an analysis from a human perspective.
Mhm.
Uh, that was maybe understanding an alert. Maybe let's say write an incident summary.
Mhm.
Nowadays with AI, it takes less than 2 3 minutes, And earlier, when we keep writing when we write an incident summary, at least it takes for a human to at least 15 to 30 minutes, to write that
Mm,
properly.
mm,
And for example, generate KQL queries. It's similar to writing as any kind of a queries. It takes few seconds, and when we write KQL queries manually, it may take maybe more minutes and even longer, because we really need to remember the syntax. We need to remember from where to get what, and in which system.
mm,
So those perspective. And
mm,
of course, from an executive perspective, executive people would need a report kind of on those incidents on a daily basis. Then again, it saves us lots of time from hours to minute, I would say.
mm. Yeah, awesome. Um, and there are also, I think, misconceptions do companies have about the security copilot?
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Uh I mean, many people, and of course, the Copilot is not coming cheap, and many have those misconception wherein, if I buy Security Copilot, then I am safe. It will protect entirely my company, which is not true. Again, once more, it does not replace your security architecture or control. It
Mm,
just helps the analyst investigate and respond faster. That's the primary goal target, And Anaha, I had another customer which wherein I had a discussion. They were asking whether they can consider security copilot as an antivirus.
mm,
So it's not an antivirus. It just sits on top of the security copilot system, sorry, on the on the top of your on the security ecosystem.
mhm,
And the primary aim or objective of security copilot is to analyze security data and help analysts to investigate and respond faster.
mm,
Yeah. uh Another misconception, which is an interesting one, which I just recollect, it automatically blocks hackers.
mm,
Okay. So that is also for sure, it's a big no. So blocking usually is performed by tool from Microsoft ecosystem tool like Defender, Entra, firewall, and security policies and so forth, but not by security copilot itself.
mm. And is it primarily for large enterprises or is it also realistic for SMEs?
From price perspective, I would say a large enterprise will be able to afford it,
Mm,
and small business, let's say if the size is 10 to 100 users, which is I don't think so it is fit for them, because again, you may need mature kind of a SOC team really to understand the complexity, which may which may give you the benefit in longer run. And uh, uh, I would say also for mid-size company, it really depends, whether this mid-size company has a dedicated IT security team, and whether they are also using the other kind of product such as Defender, XDR, or Sentinel. which
mm,
could help them which wherein security copilot is going to help them to investigate further.
mm.
And of course cost perspective, because as I said, the license is not cheap. I would say large enterprise organization will be able to afford those type of license.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a price price tag behind this. Okay, um, so um, there's also, I think, a new buzzword. It's called AI governance. That sounds a little bit abstract.
Right.
What does it actually mean?
Okay. Uh, uh, Nowadays, AI, is people are creating new capabilities, are innovating with AI. So that means AI creates capability, new capabilities within an organization, be it within their product or services. However, there has to be a mechanism which needs which must guide these capabilities, and that is called governance. Okay, and of course, uh, on the other hand, security must protect those capabilities. So what is governance is kind of it's a kind of a collection or a framework of policies, processes, controls, uh, which ensure that the AI which is developed or deployed is used safely, responsibly, securely, ethically, and of course, yeah, in compliance with regulation. So, for
Mm,
example, from European perspective, you must know there are so many compliance. We have got EU AI Act, we have got NIS2, we have got Cyber Resilience Act, we have got DORA, we have got GDPR, and company have sole responsibility to comply within all these compliance. Otherwise, here it is. You will be not under the compliance, simply said.
mm.
Yeah.
And or how should organizations establish governance before they deploying AI?
Uh, I think so. Within again Microsoft ecosystem, we have got tool like Microsoft Purview. We have got tool like for developer perspective, Azure Foundry, which can be used for this type of governance. For example,
Mm-hmm,
from AI governance, strictly said, one primary tool which I would recommend, from Microsoft ecosystem, is Microsoft Purview. So it can discover and do an inventory of AI application and agent within the ecosystem, or within the tenant of the organization. For example, the another beauty of Purview is classify and protect sensitive data used by AI. Of course, manage compliance with regulations such as again EU AI Act.
mm,
Nowadays also Microsoft has provided the Microsoft Responsible AI dashboard.
mm-hmm,
It is really useful, wherein it helps you evaluate biases such as fairness, provide for example explainability, error analysis, robustness, and also of course also provide a good reporting.
mm-hmm,
Uh, Another one, yeah, which I'm using also personally heavily, it's Azure AI Foundry. For example, how to uh, provide content safety, model evaluation, model catalog governance, safety filters, and give you an observability that is really important, because you really need to have a mechanism of observability.
mm-hmm.
And lastly, those classical tool, Defender for Cloud, Entra, and all. which helps you manage identity at intra level.
mm,
Yeah.
okay. Um, then I think a little bit about policies. What tips can you give here, or which policies should every company define?
For AI
Yeah.
specifically,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Uh, uh, Let me just think. Maybe uh, policy such as maybe the which AI services uh, an employee within an organization is allowed to use. For example, let's say uh, user can officially use Microsoft 365 Copilot, and those are the one approved by the company. Or
Mm,
maybe it could be Claude, Claude from Anthropic, or Chat GPT from kind of the paid version.
mm,
The important points to be noted is it has to be company approved.
mhm,
Another one is data classification policy.
mhm,
From the zero trust perspective, verify always explicitly apply least privilege access, and always assume breach, so from the data classification policy, uh, uh, the uh, public and internal data which are approved only should be accessible by the user. And of course, confidential data has to be really controlled. Customer data only approved, data only approved data should be handled by the user, and so forth.
mm,
uh, uh Another one, let me of course, responsible prompting policy. For example, employees should we really need to educate employees within an organization, and that on a frequent basis, that employees should avoid entering uh, PII related data, password data, APIs, keys, customer list, confidential contract, employee record, intellectual properties, and so forth,
mm,
and implement AI security policy. Those are really important.
mm,
For example, protect system from prompt injection,
mm,
from data leakage, unauthorized plugins. So that from that perspective, governance has to be really strong.
mm,
Yeah, and lastly, I've seen in many organization, in a large organization, people keep using their favorite tool. So that is called shadow IT or shadow AI, wherein people keep installing or connecting AI with non-approved or non-authorized kind of a tool. For example, let's say ChatGPT is not allowed open chat. ChatGPT from OpenAI is not allowed officially, but still they
mm,
are using because maybe the model is giving them kind of a more faster kind of a response, or more kind of an accurate kind of so however, one, from the governance perspective, really need to monitor those. Otherwise there could be there is going to be a real risk of data leakage, and so
mm,
yeah.
mm. And also, one topic is Microsoft often talks about zero trust. Has AI zero trust philosophy changed through AI?
You mean to say whether we can uh, implement zero trust with AI?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, uh, uh, from the attack surface perspective, if you recollect 20 years ago, attackers were targeting network, and then 10, or even now, they are targeting identity. Still now, it is still. Uh, continuous kind of they are targeting a identity on a continuous basis. And now with the age of AI, like they target AI. So uh uh, as per the zero trust concept, like always verify explicitly, because and then of course assign identity to in each AI agent, so we can like verify explicitly about whether like what type of data or what type of resources they are accessing, and least privilege, because at the end of the day AI is going to use your underlying data. That means like based on the user credential which the copilot is logged in with. In case if the user has not got the right permission, then you may come up with some unfortunate kind of surprises or experiences, like so that is really important, wherein like at the user level, at the identity level, like one has to provide the least privilege kind of a permission. And one of the uh, practice an organization should have, like is to assume always assume breach. The one should like keep checking on prompt injection, compromise account, malicious AI usages, and so forth. Yeah. So for sure, to summarize, like zero trust is also really useful for from an AI perspective.
And yeah, we have also, I think we have a lot of security tools, but I think the most famous are Defender, Entra, and Purview. Which roles do these tools play in a security environment?
You mean role of the tool like such as a Purview and Defender?
Yeah, and Entra ID.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah.
For example, Purview, one of kind of uh, uh, Purview is mainly for uh, data security and governance.
Mm,
Like it helps you classify and label, protects, and governs the data that AI can access. For example, uh, if we classify a kind of a R&D related or engineering related kind of a research as a confidential or strictly confidential, okay,
mm,
then co-pilot within an organization will not be able to provide those type of information to any kind of a user which does not have the permission to see those type of information.
mm,
So that is like one of the beauty of Purview. uh Entra ID is about identity and of course access.
mm,
For example, it will the role of that tool would be to verify users, device, and application before granting access to AI and data. So
mhm,
at the governance level, like the if that user, for example, let's say user from the HR department has the authorization to access the HR agent, then well and good, that user will be able to access. However, like normal user maybe like should not have an access to kind of a sales report or maybe kind of a confidential agent which deals, let's say, with salary information.
mm,
Okay, so for sure, those user or maybe that user should not be able to access those data or information related to, I would say, another department which is really strictly confidential.
mm,
And from you said also defender, like those are from, I would say, protection, threat protection. It helps like detects and respond to attack targeting identities, maybe email and some other workload like cloud and all.
mm,
So And one of the tool also is Security Copilot, wherein again once more it helps uh, assist security team by investigating and
Mm,
summarizing incident. And so yeah,
mm.
I hope I have answered your question.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
And what is how can we have speak about the security co-pilot, but how can yeah companies monitor consistently their security? Is there something in Azure or should they do this?
Okay. Uh, One of the, I would say, uh, uh, let's say once we have deployed AI, how do we know really it's secure? So the continuous monitoring loop should be from AI user will access the Microsoft 365 Copilot, which underlying will be accessing Microsoft Graph and business data, and that will be on a layer below will be managed by Microsoft Purview.
Mm,
From the architecture point of view, Microsoft Purview will be checking data governance and compliance perspective, and on top of it, there will be, I would say, Defender and Sentinel, which will be continuously monitoring what's going on. And uh, that's from my perspective, the loop uh, which is to be which has to be implemented from the
mm,
continuously monitoring perspective.
mm.
Yeah.
And I think also on topic is what a lot of company think we are compliant, we are secure. Um, but what role does compliance play in security?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So uh, from compliance perspective, let's say for example, from GDPR perspective or EU Act perspective, uh, let's say a company wants to do business with you, and another company wants to do business, and whether they whether they will check simply whether you are following those type of compliance, and whether you are from an audit perspective also, if there is a continuous governance process which are established within your organization. And uh, uh, f- uh, and let's say one example from Cyber Resilience Act, nowadays it is coming in force this year itself, so even if you want to sell one of your product, be it in IoT or maybe kind of a digital product,
Mhm,
you have to comply, because the responsibility will be on the company who is developing or manufacturing those products. So suppose if you are not comply from your I would say European perspective kind of a compliance which are there, then you'll not be authorized to sell or maybe deploy your product or services within the market itself. So that is really critical, I would say, from compliance perspective. So whatsoever which we talked about, those were internal to an organization. However, from compliance perspective, those are from an customer safety perspective and product safety perspective, and of course from the, even I would say and more on a wider security perspective, because it does not happen that if your product is not secure enough, then
mhm,
one should one it could be really I would say harmful to also people who are using those products directly or indirectly.
mm.
Yeah, yeah. So that is really critical, from compliance perspective, to implement those compliance seriously and properly within the organization.
Yeah. And when we let us run to an incident response.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
can you walk us through the first hour after discovering a ransomware attack?
Uh, you mean how to contain a ransomware attack from the first hour?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Uh, so, uh, uh, I would say the practical framework would be like detect, contain, investigate,
Mm,
and with the approval, like communicate to your stakeholder, be it in internal employees or other stakeholder, and then of course recover.
mm,
So, for example, if you have a kind of a solid security architecture or a solid and robust security architecture within your organization,
mm,
and of course, if the organization is monitored 24 by 7, then the SOC team will be able to detect and confirm whether the activity is likely or ransomware or not.
mm,
Okay. For example, maybe you'll be able to, I don't know, validate from Defender or whether the encryption is really occurring right now and so forth. Second would be, of course, if you have uh, uh, system in place, containment will be the highest priority. That means immediately isolate the infected system or endpoints from the network,
mm,
identify and of course disable or suspend those compromised users,
mm,
and block the IP addresses, malicious IP addresses, and of course, if you have got segmentation done properly, you'll be able to stop the blast radius and stop the lateral movement, by segmenting the affected system. Uh, Next, I would say uh, start investigating. Investigating
mm,
means review the attack timeline in Sentinel. Yeah, yeah, this is one of the very good use case wherein Microsoft Security Copilot will be able to help you tremendously
mm,
because it will help you summarize the incident faster. As
mm,
you asked previously, in how much time it will be able to provide you some useful data. So those minutes will be the golden kind of hours, which will really help you if you have, of course, a security copilot. It will give you a kind of an map and the correlation between system which has been infected or touched, and of course it will also you also need to identify the initial entry point, how and when the attack was occurred.
mm,
And the I would say the last minutes would be of the kind of uh, within those hours would be the coordinate to end escalate to the task force, maybe notify the executive leadership and the incident response team.
mm,
uh, you may also engage depending on the severity of the attack or the incident, engage legal, compliance, communication team. And for example, from you perspective, it's really critical to preserve forensic log evidence and log,
mm,
because as you know, you have a very strong uh, forensic system in place from the government as well, and from the EU level as well, for those kind of analysis. And yeah, and yeah, from resilience perspective, one of the very critical point, in case if you are really your are really affected, then you may activate the business continuity plan or the disaster recovery plan to keep business in continuous. That is one plan many companies keeps forgetting. So business continuity management and BCP plan has to be there, because there is no zero risk, that no one is going to be hacked one day or not.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. There's also, yeah, a lot of security companies have this also buzzword autonomous socks. Uh, they talk about, and then I ask him, okay, then we can put in the uh, in the contract that you can pay the whole damage when something happen. I'll say no. But did you think, yeah, could autonomous socks become reality?
You mean SOC as a service, or
Yeah,
from the AI perspective?
yeah, yeah. They say they write we have an AI tool that's completely do all the security stuff. It's autonomous, and yeah, most say okay, then you can pay. I say okay, then you can put in the contract. You pay for the damage, and then they say, oh no, 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 we don't like this idea. Think you it can be reality?
Uh, uh, I would say it's a bit ambiguous, Mirko. The question whether, let me just think. Just give me 1 minute to think. That's an interesting question. I I think so. There is a possibility, Mirko,
Yeah.
but it is to as of today, a
Mm,
fully autonomous replacement as a SOC is, I would say, it is not yet advisable or practical. AI can become the first line analysis, or it can become the first line analyst in a SOC. Our human remain responsible, for the decision making and the final decision making. Human in the loop, that is always going to be, even whatsoever, evolution or technology, innovative technology which we are going to be in the future. Human has to be or must be there as a human in the loop for
mm,
taking the final decision, I would say.
mm.
Yeah.
Uh, Okay. I have in every session, I have a lightning or rapid fire round. I say
Okay.
something, and you give a quick answer.
Okay.
Okay, password or passwordless?
Passwordless.
Microsoft Defender or third-party tools?
Defender.
Hybrid or cloud first?
Hybrid.
AI assistant or human analyst?
Oh, you said AI assistant to human analyst, right?
Uh,
I would say, wow, AI assistant with human in the loop.
Okay. Zero trust or network perimeter?
No, zero trust.
Automation or manual investigation?
Sorry, come again.
Automation or manual investigation?
Automation with or responsible automation, I would say.
Biggest security buzzword?
Biggest security
Buzzword.
password.
Yeah, buzzword. So something like marketing
Uh,
speech.
okay. Password. You mean password? 1 2 3 4 5 and so forth. And
No, no, no. Buzzword. Like marketing speech. What are the what is the
okay.
biggest
Okay.
security?
I would the buzzword. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I would say. Uh, wow. Uh, uh, Agentic AI nowadays is, one of the very buzzword, but from security perspective, we really need to take care of, how
Mm,
far we want to go ahead with agentic AI.
yeah. And one Microsoft tool everyone should deploy tomorrow in their environment.
at least from this today's topic and from the from AI governance perspective, I would say go with Microsoft Purview.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the best drink during incident response?
Sorry.
What's the best drink during incident response?
Ha 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 ha. Lots of coffee, I would say.
Okay. Yeah, then my closing question for today. If listener remember only one thing from today's talk, what should it be?
Could you repeat, Mirko, please?
Yeah. If a listener remember only one thing from today's talk, what should it be?
Okay. AI governance has to be taken seriously, Mirko,
Mm,
because without governance, one may lose control of the risk will get just augmented and augmented within the
mm,
organization. Yeah.
mm. Yeah, then yeah, I say the people find all the information about you and links in the show notes on the M365 FM podcast page.
Sure, sure.
And yeah, Uta, thank you so much for joining me
Yeah,
today. This
yeah, yeah,
conversation, yeah, was really good. Yeah,
yeah,
and I think yeah, we had so much topics: AI transformation, security
yeah, yeah,
governance, trust.
yeah,
So yeah, I thank you so much for being here, and yeah, have a nice day. Bye.
yeah, yeah. Bye for now, Mirko. Thank you so much. Dankeschön.